Okay, guys. So we will start. Am I audible to all of you? Can you just message me? At least one or two. If you can message, it will be fine. Okay. Yeah. So, guys, I've seen your papers, and all of you are writing well. It's fine. But the thing is that you see, we have from the first two chapters, I've given you around 40 questions. Hardly we have, how many topics are there? First chapter, three topics, and second chapter, 5. That means 8 topics are there. I've given you 40 questions. What does that mean? A lot of repetition is there. Sociology and economics, that is a short note. And related to that, I've given you a long question, right? Sociology is preeminently the study of modern society, then modernity and emergence of sociology, intellectual background and emergence of sociology. All these are almost similar. Why are you writing similar questions again and again? So when I'm telling you to write this many questions, what you need to do, why I've given you 8 questions, because you have 8 topics and I'm expecting that you will be writing from those 8 topics. But instead what I've seen is you are writing 8 questions, out of which 3 are almost same, right? So, and the same content is repeated, so there is no point in doing that. So take care of that from the next test. So anyway, you will be getting so much of questions, and I am giving you that opportunity to select the one which you need, but select from all topics. In that way, you will be able to study all topics and you will be able to write all topics. No, that is a most important point. That is what actually expected out of you. And some of you have done well, and some of you are writing similar questions. Maybe I don't know the reason. Whatever it is, next test onwards, try to write, different answers, right? Not the similar question. There will be similar questions, obviously. So we are going to deal with stratification today. And tomorrow, briefly, I'll mention about the chapter 3 that is related to the research methods. This chapter will give more focus, because you can expect 1 or 2 questions from here. One theory can be expected, and one short note, one long and one short note can be expected from this, right? So we'll give focus on that. And then after completing these 2 chapters, you will be writing another test. So you focus on this thing which I've told you, right? And then write the short note, keeping in mind the word limit. When you're writing the short note, just keep in mind the word limit also, guys. You're writing 150 words and then you're writing 200 words is of no use. When you're practicing, that time itself you should be following the same. Also stick to the time limit. These 2 are very, very important. Don't worry about the content. Let me tell you, the content, once we are done with this and once you start reading all those things, whatever is given to you, that is enough and sufficient. Once you start reading it 2-3 times, the content will automatically come and it will be there in your mind. You don't want to worry. Paper 1, paper 2, once you complete, things will be there for sure. Only thing that you need to focus is time and word limit. If you can manage these 2, take it for granted, you will be able to complete the paper in time with very good score. Content wise, it's a process, right? Over a period of time, it has to improve. But what is in your hand at this point of time? Time you need to manage. That is the most important part. If not, you miss some questions for sure, and you will have to pay huge for that. So whenever you're writing, stick to the time limit and then write. You fix that questions which you're going to attempt, how many short notes and how many long answers, and based on that, you make your strategy and you make the time, and all these are given to you now. Later, we will do it from my side also. Okay, so this is something which you need to do. Time you have to manage. That is the main idea why you're sitting here. Here you are not going to learn the topic. Yeah, I'm not going to teach you the concepts or anything, right? Here, when you're sitting here, we will focus only on answer writing, and then you should stick to these 2. Once you are okay with this 2, these are the 2 main hurdles that you need to overcome. If you can overcome these 2 hurdles, what are they? Time and the word limit. If you are okay with this 2, then you are done. There is no problem. You, at any point of time, you should never cross 150 words in a 10 marker. You should never do that. It's like if you're doing it, you're compromising some other question. You may get a 6-7 mark here, maybe 1 mark extra, because they are not concerned about you are crossing word limit or not. They may give you mark if you have the content. But for that 1 mark, you have to compromise another 5 or 6 mark that you're going to get. You may get average here, you may get average here. That will be better than you get 1 excellent. Okay, so that is very important. Word limit at any point of time, you should never cross 150. and 250. That is what I've told you in the first session. Keep in mind this one thing, if you have in your mind that I need maximum 250 words. And what 250 words I'll write, that I have to decide, right? Any topic, you should be having that 250 words with you. So that has to be very clear, which all thinkers I'm going to use. For example, science related question. Towards the end, you should be concluding with Weber and Popper. Take it like that. You should never forget it. Always that should be the case. Then you don't want to worry, right? What Weber says, sociology is studying human beings. On the other hand, science study matter. That thing should be there. I've told you that. Similarly, Karl Popper. Conclude it with that, right? Similarly, if the common sense question is asked, again, in the conclusion, talk about Andre Bethe statement, which I've given to you, Weber statement. So if you fix it this, any question connected to that is coming, it is fixed. You know, this is what I need to write, and I know how to manage the time. Okay, guys? So it has to be very important. Focus on these two. Everything else is secondary. Content, it will come automatically. You have enough time and it will be perfectly fine. Right? Yeah, 220 words. Even 130 word will be fine, guys. 150 word, I'm saying maximum you should go for 150 and maximum you should go for 250. Minimum, there is nothing. Okay, but even 130 to 140 will be fine. So only thing is that you should be able to complete the paper. That is the main focus. So let's start with today's discussion. Let me get the PDF once, okay? Okay, so we will be discussing this chapter 5, stratification. Guys, I have given you everything which is connected to this topic. Each and every topic is taken. Explanation on each topic is given. Question on each topic is given. Multiple questions are given and different solutions are given. So it is your responsibility to go through each of these solutions. You have to take, if suppose I have given you around 6-7 thinkers in one question, you should be knowing how many, 2 to 3, right? It all depends on your convenience. If you can interconnect and something which you have learned for other topics and other chapters, if you find you can interconnect it, that will be better. It will reduce your effort. So for each and every topic, 3 to 4 thinkers has to be there in your mind. It's not that today I'll be studying 3 thinker, next day I'll be focusing on another 4, next day another 4 thinker for that topic. No, if you've decided that this topic, social mobility, I'm talking about these people, right? Then that should be the 3 or 4 thinkers that you should be writing any test you are taking and should be there in your mind at any point of time till you crack this exam. If that is the case, you're not going to forget anything and you will have a clarity what to write for 150 words and what is 250 words. Whatever is important, I have underlined. That is what you need to follow, nothing else. Okay. So guys, social mobility, there's a topic, but before that, let me talk about social stratification. I'll give you a brief idea about stratification. So if the question is asked on mobility, so what is the question? Question is mobility, but you have to talk about social stratification. Why? Why you need to talk about social stratification is because social mobility is a product of stratification. If there is no stratification, there is no need to study mobility. There is no question of mobility, right? Mobility, when we mainly talk about, we talk about vertical mobility, movement up and down. It will be between different strata. And there has to be something like open system, right? There should be a possibility of movement. So you should be talking about stratification, types of stratification, open system where mobility is possible, movement is possible, closed system, movement is not possible. So briefly, you have to mention about stratification if a question is about mobility. Similarly, if the question is about stratification, you should be talking about mobility also, because you can explain the types of stratification based on mobility. Possibility of mobility, movement, open stratification system like class system, possibility of mobility, no possibility, that is closed system like caste system and all, right? So that is what these two are linked. So one important point that I want to tell you now is and this is going to reduce a lot of effort from your side. You don't want to, strive for content. Stratification is asked, you might have little content for stratification, but that's enough. You can write about mobility and you can fill that gap. Similarly, mobility is asked. I'm not saying you have very little content, you have enough and more, but if mobility is asked, you should be talking about stratification. Guys, I hope you got the logic. Both are interconnected. If you are sticking to one, stratification means only stratification, mobility means only mobility, that is not a complete and holistic approach, right? Be it 10 marker, 20 marker, 150 words, 250 words. It's up to you. You have to write both. I hope you got it, right? Same as the way you need to connect other topics as well. So what is stratification? Let me tell you briefly. We have differences, right? When we talk about anything in society, or natural differences are there, social differences are there. Natural difference, what is the example? Like sex, when you talk about, that's a natural difference, biological difference. So differences are there, right? And when you attach some values to these differences, value means a kind of preferability, rejection, superiority, inferiority, desirability, undesirability. So if you attach these values to a particular sex, there is a natural difference already, right? Male, female. When you start attaching these values, that will result into inequalities. And if you find this inequalities into a pattern, there may be a lot of individual inequalities which are not important for us and which cannot be studied, right? Each and every instances of individual between you and me, each one of you and me will be having inequality. But is there anyone who's interested in studying that? No. Male, female, there is a pattern. Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, there is a pattern. Upper class, middle class, lower class, there is a pattern. So the sociologists will be interested in studying the patterns of inequality. That is what we mean by stratification. So difference, when there is a value attached to that, it becomes inequality. That means difference itself is not inequality. Difference, it's natural. It may be social also. There may be some social difference, like the way you eat, the food that you eat, right? North Indian, South Indian, there is a difference, but there is no superiority or inferiority in that. The dress style, there is no superiority or inferiority. Both are same differences, right? The housing patterns and everything. There is no inequality in that. Why not inequality? I'm saying because there is nothing superior or inferior. I can't say this is superior over other, right? So there can be natural or social difference, but inequality is always social because you are attaching value. And once you identify the pattern of inequality, that is what stratification. Then that is what stratification. So you understood. Then there are some steps which I have given to you, like differentiation, rewarding, ranking, right? And all those different steps are there in stratification. You should be writing that. And then the types of stratification, mainly open and closed. On the basis of what? On the basis of mobility. So you have introduced mobility here. And then you're talking about open, closed, giving example, class and caste. And then you can talk about different types of stratification, right? Different stratification systems like age set system based on age, gender stratification. All these are given as separate question. Race, ethnicity. Ethnicity is related to culture. Race is a biological attribute, right? Guys, everything is given in detail. That's why I'm just glancing through all those things. Okay, and then social mobility. Mobility means movement up or down. Horizontal mobility, we are not concerned. Vertical mobility is what we are more concerned. But there may be in the modern society, in most cases, horizontal and vertical mobility will come together. Horizontal means like a transfer. But there is nothing much sociological in that because your position is not changing, right? You got transfer. But nowadays, if you see, most of the transfer will come along with a promotion. So vertical and horizontal mobility is coming together, right? You are a ASP, you will be posted as SP in some other district. That means what? Vertical mobility is there, at the same time horizontal movement is there. So the combination is possible. I'm just giving you an example, but we are more concerned about vertical mobility because it changes your status, it changes your position, upward and downward. You should be talking about examples, Merton's concept of status sequence, and different vertical mobility studies I've given, Sorokin, and a lot of studies I've given. Go through that. Types, different types like intergenerational, intragenerational, okay, absolute and relative. Just like absolute and relative poverty, same. Like absolute means I get something, I experience upward mobility, right? Some A and B together, they're working. A get promotion, A get absolute upward mobility. B don't get anything, he don't lose anything, but relative downward mobility. Why relative? He make a comparison with A. So that is a relative downward mobility. Now, caste-based inequalities are not natural. It is actually socially created. But when you are born, you are unequal. If that is the case, even class also, like what Marx says, when you are born into classes. That doesn't mean that it is natural inequality. Guys, sources of mobility, very important. Avenues of mobility, talk about traditional society and modern society. And one more thing, what is the importance of studying social mobility? One thing, you can understand the level of inequality. Second, you can understand the pattern and the type of stratification system in the society. Third, you can understand the whole nature of society, like traditional society or modern society. If you see traditional society, the chances of mobility is very less. I've given all those and with examples in the PDF. Go through that. You get these questions, no must attempt, jump onto it. And if it is 10 marker, you should be getting 6 to 7 mark. Never ever make any compromise on these questions. Okay. And more avenues indicate modern society. So you can see more avenues today, right? Yesterday, somebody was very poor. Tomorrow, he will be very rich, right? So anything can happen anytime, mobility. That is what you see. That is not the case with traditional society. You cannot be rich so fast, right? Guys, it is not possible for me to go with all these because mobility itself is one day topic, stratification is another day topic. So I've given you everything. Whatever I discuss in the class to my students, exactly the same thing is given. Okay. And then all these you should go through. Hindrances to mobility, that also need to be there in your answer towards the end. Poverty, illiteracy, and all those things. Okay, again, a question related to mobility. Whatever thinkers you need to add. See, women, the long range mobility. What do you mean by long range mobility? Like you cannot, glass ceiling effect you can talk about, right? Women, and see, mobility is there. You can talk about the society is open and everything. But when it comes to long range mobility, to get a very good position, it is still considered closed for some sections. The poor people, they cannot afford to have good education, good health facility, good facilities, which is, there are many other things which are required if you need to. For example, you guys can attend this coaching. There are how many people who may not be able to afford these classes and everything, right? So there are a lot of things which are connected with mobility. So there are obvious limitations. You can say mobility is there. Society is modern, open system, the possibility that you get education, you can get job and you can get mobility. But that long range mobility is actually limited. There are studies which I've given examples here. There are studies which are conducted in UK, especially in case of women, long range mobility. The Essex study is given, other studies are also given here. Go through that. Okay, now the theories of stratification. You need to go through three main theories: Parson, W.L. Warner, Davis and Moore, right? Out of which they can ask you a separate question from Davis and Moore. Parson, W.L. Warner will be asked as a part of, they will ask you functional theories of stratification and how Marxists have reacted to it, right? Or simply functional theories of stratification. So listen to me carefully. If they're asking you functional theories of stratification, talk about Parson, Warner, Davis and Moore. Or they will ask you specific theory, Davis and Moore theory of stratification, and how Marxists have reacted to it. So what Parson says, quickly I'll tell. Parson says society is full of norms and values, right? So society, we all are in terms of some consensus. Why we are here? We are in terms of some consensus, right? So that means there are expectations in terms of norms and values. So society is made up of norms and values. It is made up of consensus. People try to follow these norms and values. And those who people not only try to follow norms and values, they will evaluate themselves on their conformity towards norms and values. Okay, so there is an evaluation within themselves. So stratification is nothing but giving a proper position or proper reward for those people who followed norms and values of society properly. Simple thing, simple theory. Okay, Now, when it comes to Davis and Moore, you need to go through the book name, right? You have given it in terms of some propositions. Okay. So what they're saying is some propositions. What are they? Society is made up of positions. Some positions are functionally more important than others. And these functionally more important positions need to be filled with the most talented people. And to attract the talented people, you have to attach more rewards to that position, right? You guys are here. Why? Because of seeing that reward. Don't tell me that you're here for social service, right? What you're going to get after this exam, that is the only reason why you're here. So you seeing that reward, you're ready to compete, or you're ready to go to that post, right? So that reward should be there. Otherwise, people will not be motivated, right? So people have to do a lot of hard work, right? A lot of money expense and everything, time expenditure, money expenditure, hard work. A lot of things are involved in this preparation. So if you need to attract the talented people, you have to give rewards, because talent need a lot of effort. In order to get the talent, you have to work very, very hard. So social stratification is nothing but giving proper rewards or filling the most important positions in society with the most talented people. So obviously, if you need talented people, you have to give more reward. So some will go to the top, some will be there at the bottom. Talented will go to the top, others will be there at the bottom. Okay, guys. So that's about the theory which is given by Davis and Moore. And then Melvin Tumin come up with some criticism. What I want you to do is, when the question is asked on Davis and Moore, first you will be talking about Davis and Moore, then Melvin Tumin criticism, then clarification of Davis and Moore. These three parts are part of the theory. It's not that when you are asked about critically evaluate Davis and Moore theory, you will be talking about Davis and Moore and then Melvin Tumin end of it. No. These three are part of the theory. First, Davis and Moore explanation, principle, some propositions, then Melvin Tumin objections, then Davis and Moore clarification. It's the same theory. Then if you need to critically evaluate, you can talk from, using Marx's perspective. This theory only talk about class stratification. Other stratification like gender stratification or caste stratification cannot be explained by proper better position, important positions and all. You can't explain that. So that is how you can critically analyze. So don't think that Melvin Tumin you can use for critical analysis. Obviously, it is part of the theory. It may form part of criticism, but it is part of the theory. Okay, so what are the criticisms of Melvin Tumin? He says, these positions will create hostility, the differentiation will create hostility. And then how can you judge the relative importance of a position? How can you say some are more important? Whether a doctor is important or a teacher is important, how can you tell that? Right, that is a big question. Guys, please don't use your pen and write here. Can you just remove it, Samrat? I don't know how to do that. Just delete that. Okay. So guys, what I'm saying is how to judge the importance of a position. Secondly, this thing, the measurement of talent, right? This exam that you're conducting, is it actually enough or correct to measure the talent? Or this CAT exam, is it actually measuring the talent which is required for MBA? That is another question raised by him. Similarly, you can consider this as functional only and only if you give equal opportunity to all. But are you doing that? No, right? There are some sections who are getting the advantage. See, if it is a 100-meter race, somebody starting the race behind 100 meters, somebody starting even behind, right? Those who are poor, they have to work very, very hard. So some are getting a head start, an advantage also. So that equal opportunity is not there, so you cannot consider it as functional. Then he's also talking about alternative motivational schemes and all. I've given everything in detail. Go through that. The background also, like initial understanding of social stratification, initial theory, Plato, Aristotle. Guys, you don't want that. Just for your understanding, I've given it here. They consider it as natural, like people are born unequal. Some people have some talent when they are born, right? Naturally equipped with some talent. Then comes understanding based on natural as well as social, acquired and inherited differences, and then purely social, once sociology was established. Marx theory you can discuss, Weber theory. Okay, that is different theories, right? Stratification, I hope that is clear. Now, how Davis and Moore have given the clarification? Clarification is like this. It is difficult to judge the importance of a position, but it is not impossible. There are two ways. One, the degree to which the two positions which are in question are unique. For example, you talk about a teacher and a doctor. Which is more unique? Doctor is more unique. Everybody cannot be a doctor, but everybody can be a teacher, right? Even I am a teacher, I'm an accidentally a teacher, like that. So tomorrow you can be a teacher, right? Everybody can be a teacher, but I can never be a doctor, right? So what is more unique? That is one way in which you can understand the functional importance. Second, you compare two positions, okay, the degree to which one depends on the other. For example, if you talk about a teacher and an IAS officer, in a district, there will be only one IAS officer. So dependence on this person is much more from the societal side as well as from the teacher side as well, right? So these are two ways in which you can judge the importance of a position. It is not impossible, though it is difficult. Then he's talking about there can be proper methods in measuring the talent and everything. Go through that. So this three are part of the theory: the propositions, objection, clarification. So your theory is asked means that's the theory, and then critically analyze. If the question is about critically analyze, you have to critically analyze. Even if the question is about theory, towards the end to talk about criticisms, right? So according to Marx, which perspective, guys? Conflict perspective. So here, which perspective? Functional perspective. So simple general criticism you can use. Here they are trying to see these are functional, these are inevitable, these are created by society for its survival, but that's not the case for Marx. These are exploitative, right? Creating conflict and hostility, exploitation of have-nots by the haves. Okay. Secondly, this stratification theory is explaining only class stratification because of movement and positions, not caste or gender, etc. This, guys, what more you need? This too is enough to critically analyze. If you can fix your mind, no, then you will not, even though I have given too much here. Why I have given too much? When you're reading, one or two may strike. It all depends on your personality also, right? Some thinkers, you may be so much connected. So reading that, you may feel that is logical, so it will be connected to you. That is why I've given too much. But how much you need actually? If you have 3 or 4, that is perfectly fine. Though I've given you 10, 12, 15, if you see here, but is that actually required? How many of you are planning to mug it up? If you're planning to, let me tell you now itself, that is not going to be possible. Never do that. That's not desirable. That's not required. We keep this point in mind, though this much is there, we hardly need 3 to 4 for any topic, the maximum. Okay. So guys, if you can plan in that way, then half of your tension and effort will go, and stick to this itself. There is no need for you to go behind any material. Let me tell you, the effort that I'm putting, everything is compiled. Whatever you go and get, what the maximum you can get, all the test series from all academies, I've incorporated all. What more you need? No need. So stick to this. Even this you will not be able to complete. The 60 pages, right? One chapter. So how many chapters are there in total? 25 chapters. At the end of the day, you will be having around 1400, 1500 pages. So that is going to be very difficult for you, right? So stick to this, master this, and this is going to be easy. Parsons theory, Davis and Moore theory. Okay, guys, I'm not explaining now. Warner is talking about compartmentalization of society, and that helps in cultural stability. Read that. Okay, these criticisms, whatever encircled, is very important that you can read. Okay, Max Weber's understanding of social stratification is closer to reality. Guys, I'm expecting that you know Weber's stratification. The draw diagram means I forgot to mention the diagram. What you need to do is you can draw 3 circles, Venn diagram, right? 3-set Venn diagram. One is class, one is status, the other is party. Okay, and you can show the overlapping. So if you are, that 3 area, right, that is coming in the center, those who are part of that, like imagine a minister, he has power and he's rich, that means class, status, Brahmin. So Brahmin rich minister will be more powerful than a Dalit minister. That is what I want to tell you in the Indian context, if you see. Okay. So that is overlapping, multiplicity of stratification, multi-dimensionality of stratification. That is why closer to empirical reality. Why Why that is a reality? Because even if you see this class itself, what are the different stratifications you can see? You can see caste-based, right? We all are from different parts of the country, right? And different caste. Religion is not a dimension of stratification because that is not talking about inequality. Caste inequality. And then class, right? Some of us are poor, some are middle class, some are rich, right? So there is age stratification is there, right? Even I've seen some of you are less than 21, right? And 21 to 28 is there. Even people with the age of 34, 35 is also attending the session. So you can classify, right? Age, another stratification. What else? These are different stratifications. So multi-dimensional pattern is what Weber is discussing. That is what the reality is all about. You may be rich, but you may not get respect if you are a Dalit. Okay? You may be a minister, but you are a Dalit or lower caste. You won't get respect. But if you are Brahmin, you will get that. Right? A Brahmin lawyer and a Dalit lawyer, even if you go to Supreme Court judge, trust me guys, there will be discrimination. Okay? That's what Trinitarian view. I hope you understood what I mean by the diagram. I don't have the pen now. This three Venn diagram, right? That you used to draw for your section Venn diagram. Okay, the different classes that we were talking about: property upper class, propertyless white collar workers, petty bourgeois, manual working class, parties of principle, parties of patronage, life chances. All these concepts here I've mentioned: parties of principle, parties of patronage. Go through that. They can ask you that as well. Marx theory of stratification, guys. That's the easiest one you have studied in Marx. Two classes, haves and have-nots, right? In all society, talk about ancient society, feudal society, capitalist society, and talk about class polarization, right? Bourgeoisization, proletarianization, class in itself, class for itself. All these things has to be brought in if they're asking you a question on Marx class. Class struggle you bring, reasons for class struggle. That polarization is very important. That also you need to bring. All these dimensions has to be there in your answer. If the question is about class or stratification according to Marx, or theories of stratification by Marx. Different society you need to mention means different mode of production. I'm expecting you know that, right? Ancient society, master slave. Feudal, serf and lord. Capitalist, worker, capitalist. Every society haves and have-nots, so upper class and lower class. Bourgeois, proletariat in capitalist society. And then class polarization through bourgeoisization to the top and proletarianization to the bottom. Entire process is what called as class polarization. Never talk about pauperization. You will see in some text pauperization. No, polarization, which involve bourgeoisization and proletarianization. Okay? True consciousness, false consciousness, everything need to be there, guys. That is what mentioned here. Class is defined as people who have the same position in the occupational structure, in the production process. And he talk about different classes. He also talk about petty bourgeois, lumpen proletariat, etc. Mention all those. Everything is there. You have to read it. Then gender as a dimension of stratification. I have told you sex is natural. Gender is socially created. When values are attached to it, then talk about the problem of this gender stratification in society, in family, cultural level, every structural level, unequal division of labor, unequal wage, right? Glass ceiling effect, wage gap. Any question related to women, you need to mention about this woman. This Sylvia Valby, okay? Whatever is your point, let me tell you this very clearly now. You have a point to tell. You tell like this, according to Sylvia Valby, that point. It will be correct because any supportive argument for women, you can derive out of Sylvia Valby's theories or interpretations. So even if she have not told that, it will be considered as an interpretation of her thoughts. So any supportive arguments, just keep this point in mind. If you don't want to write it as yourself, and if you want to bring one thinker, talk about according to Sylvia Valby, women are paid very less. Simple point. That's enough. compared to men. Even just that point also you can mention, right? Because all are having the same, flavor. So you can use that. Anne Oakley, Sylvia Valby, all these. Any question related to patriarchy, you need to mention. Guys, everything I have given, you don't want to run behind any other stuff for that. Frank Parkin, very important. Racism, natural, right? Poverty, nothing to discuss here. Different approaches to poverty. This is very important. Blame the poor approach, the cultural perspective, situational perspective, feedback system or vicious cycle, dialectical approach, Marx, feminist view, dependency theory, Gunnar Myrdal, all these you need to go through. Then you will be able to write very good answer. Bring all these thinkers in your answer, okay? Subculture of poverty, Oscar Lewis, that is also very important. Culture of poverty or subculture of poverty, I've given the answer. Okay, it all depends on the environment in which you are living. You are automatically pre-programmed, and you will be, your lifestyle and your thoughts and everything will be shaped based on the situation that you are living, and your culture will also be developed accordingly. The concept given by Oscar Lewis. So that can be a short note, guys. Subculture of poverty. Cultural lag given by Ogburn Nimkov. That can be a short note. What is cultural lag? There are material culture and non-material culture. Material culture, like technology and everything, will change faster. Non-material culture, that is a social aspect, the customs and everything will change slower. There is a lag. Okay. So cultural lag, Ogburn Nimkov. That also I've given. So just note it down. These are short notes which can be expected for sure. Subculture poverty, cultural lag, social capital, okay? The concept given by Pierre Bourdieu. So social capital means what? It is a friends and relatives that network who are ready to help you in any situation. Guys, at least this understanding is what you need to have. Everything else you will be able to write at that point of time, okay? Social exclusion, when you talk about exclusion, people automatically will be excluded, right? Poor people, there are different types of exclusion. Social, okay, one more concept, social closure by Weber, right? Even educational institution, if you want to, do we have a social closure here? Yes, right? If somebody is not able to pay, it's not just that, any educational institution, not here, they are, it's a closed group, right? Why? In terms of what we are doing it, we have different criteria. Similarly, restaurants, right? Educational institutions, everywhere that social closure is there. Gated communities and all these are related to social closure. The concept is given by Weber. I've given that also as a separate question somewhere here. Go through that. So these key topics, others, gender, ethnicity, race, exclusion, everything you will go through, I know. But these, missing topic which is not part of the syllabus, like social capital, social closure, cultural lag, subculture poverty, these are very, very important. They can pick questions and they have asked also before. Yeah, similarly, when you talk about exclusion, talk about you are excluded because you are poor. At the same time, this is involuntary exclusion. There are voluntary exclusion. You exclude yourself, like you are a rich person and you don't want to, film stars, right? Actors and all those. They excluded themselves socially. So that dimension also need to be taken into consideration. I've given everything. Yeah, this one. A minority of individuals at the very top of society can opt out of participation in mainstream institution by merit of their affluence, influence, and connection. This is what social exclusion is, however, not only the result of people being excluded, that is one thing. It can also result from people exclude themselves from aspect of main society. Okay, gated communities. Mention all these. Okay, these are there in essential sociology also. Elliot Curie in her studies found that exclusion lead to delinquent behavior. This is what I have discussed just now. People being socially excluded, right, because of poverty and all those things. People excluding themselves socially. You also talked from the perspective of caste system as well. Subculture of poverty, I've marked it very important. Okay, so go through that. The concept is given by Oscar Lewis. Just go through that, guys. Social capital, here asked about Robert Putnam. It is actually Ogborn Nimkov. In fact, all the three, not Ogborn Nimkov, that is cultural lag. This is Thierry Bourdieu, right? And then Coleman and Putnam, political scientist. Just go through that. Social closure, given by Weber, right? To the practice of preserving privilege or monopolizing scarce resources for one's own group by restricting other people's access to resources and rewards. Social closure. Cultural lag, Ogborn Nimkov, given here. This is Marx and functionalist theory. Okay, that's about the PDF, guys. Now, okay. So this is what I want to tell you from this chapter. We have these areas like stratification, very important, mobility, very important. When you're writing any of these, write it together. Stratification is asked, you cannot afford to miss mobility in that answer. Mobility is asked, you should be talking about stratification and importance of study of mobility, importance of study of stratification, theories of stratification, functional, conflict, and Weberian, three theories, and then the minor topics like poverty, exclusion, all those, right? And then dimension of stratification, they can ask you specific questions: gender stratification, race as a dimension of stratification, ethnicity stratification, right? These are separate short notes they can ask you. Apart from that, focus on these areas. And beyond this, trust me guys, from this chapter, nobody can ever ask you any other questions apart from this. Okay, beyond this, I don't think, and in case if they're asking, then you are not lucky. that is what I can tell you. Right? Whatever is possible from this chapter, we have covered. Any doubt, you can ask me now. You can turn on the mic in case if you have any doubt. We are done with this session. Tomorrow, I'll quickly go through this third chapter, research methods. Short note will be of 10 mark, 150 word maximum. Maximum 150 words. Stick to that. You should, even when you are attempting answers, stick to that. Never go beyond that. Never try to do that, guys. It's like when you're practicing, you should practice like what you're actually going to do. Never cross the limit. Never ever. It should be there in your mind, at the back of the mind automatically. 150 words. So whenever you start writing 10 marker, your pen should not move beyond 150 words. It should be automatically ingrained into your mind. That is the way you should be writing. Otherwise, you will be suffering a lot when it comes to the actual exam. You will suffer a lot. That's the whole purpose of this program. Otherwise, no point. Nothing.
Sir, sir, can you say the Peter Saunders on equality and its relevance?
But that is not there in the PDF. You can write. It depends on the situation.
Relevance.
It is there in essential sociology. I don't remember exactly.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Again, once somebody is not there in the syllabus, you don't want to run behind all those, right? I haven't seen any question which has been asked from Peter Saunders. Anything else, guys? Guys, I'm expecting you are getting the clarity regarding what to write and how to write. Only thing again, and I want to tell you is this: stick to this word limit and time. Everything else will come automatic. You should never be worried and concerned about the content. It will now it may be difficult, but imagine like when you're preparing over a period of time, by the time you write mains, you will have enough content. Then if you're not practicing how to write that content, that is when you're going to struggle. So the main focus should be on time and words. Social closure given concept is given by Weber, right? So it is basically to protect the particular group's culture and everything. They will not allow other people into that. So they create some restrictions. It should be in terms of money, right? So when you're when you need to enter into that particular educational institution, then you need to pay more money, means some sections won't come. Like that, restaurants or any social clubs like that, you create a closure. Okay. Okay, guys, we will stop here. See you tomorrow.